Hello, once again, everyone. I'm your host, Ray Shasho. Welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends. 30 years on, old mates Steve Hogarth and Darryl Way have collaborated on the single Morpheus, released on August 25th. The track is taken from Darryl's forthcoming album, The Rock Artist's Progress, a unique concept and project created by legendary violinist Darryl Way that consists of an album and novel that are intrinsically linked together and sold as a bundle. The novel will also include musical illustrations created by Darryl that can be clicked on and listened to while reading. Both album and novel are due for release on September 23rd on Spirit of Unicorn Music and Cherry Red Records, iTunes, and Amazon. The novel, written by Charles Shorwell, is set against the backdrop of the musical revolution that started with the Beatles. It begins in 1968, a year after the Summer of Love, and follows the story of Daniel Luckham, a young classical pianist studying at the Royal College of Music. He was seduced by the rock music scene and vibrant counterculture in London at the time. He contrives to leave college and pursue a career in rock, but some bad decisions lead him down a dark and dangerous alley populated by drug dealers, unscrupulous managers, and femme fatales. On his journey to fulfill his dreams, Daniel finds his integrity challenged and the innocence of youth cruelly stripped away. Yeah, that tells the stories of just about all rock stars, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty universal, you have to say. Yeah.
Please welcome
Yes.
legendary violinist, keyboardist, composer, and now guitarist, Darryl Way, to Interviewing the Legends. Hey, Darryl.
Hi there, Ray.
How you doing? You know, the last
I'm
time
fine.
we chatted back in 2014 with the
Good
release of
grief.
Children of the Cosmos, which I love.
Wow.
That was a great album, man.
Well, I enjoyed making it, actually. Yeah, we're pretty proud of that one.
That's a good one. You've done so many things. This is very different for you, this new album, isn't it?
Well, I thought I like to keep myself busy, I keep myself, keep the brain cells going, basically. Yeah, I'm always trying to think of new ideas to come up with, and putting an album together with a novel. I was surprised that it hadn't been done, or it certainly hasn't been done very much before. But it seemed like a bit of a no-brainer, especially as it's a novel about music, and a novel about the '60s, which was such a seminal time for music. So it seemed like a no-brainer to put a novel together, put an album together with the novel. And then the other idea was that, as it was about music, it would be very nice if the reader could touch something or click on something when a piece of music is mentioned, and hear what the piece of music is. And instead of having visual illustrations in the book, in the novel, as it's an ebook, we can have audio illustrations, musical illustrations. So that was the other idea I came up with.
Yeah, you're right. I'm surprised nobody else has done this before. It's such a
Yeah,
great
well,
idea.
I think Dolly Parton, didn't she
Maybe, yeah.
do a novel with an album? It
Yeah.
was about, I think, about 3 or 4 months ago now, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
She does a lot of readings with kids and things like that too. Yeah.
oh, right.
Yeah. Uh, I can see where you're going and why this would be dear to your heart. You made a statement a long time ago that said the hippie philosophies of the '60s, such as peace and love, have pretty much stayed with me all my life, along with the ideals of equality and the human rights that were also brought to the fore in the seminal decade. So that was a special time for you, and of course, Curved Air.
It was. Well, we formed at the end of the '60s, and
Mhm.
I always consider ourselves as being a '60s band because
Right.
we were around. 1969 we got together, and it took us a while to gain a bit momentum. It wasn't until 1970 that we actually got the record deal, but we kind of like to feel that we were a '60s band and influenced by all the stuff that was going on. It was in England it was called progressive rock. In America, it was called psychedelic rock, I suppose.
Mhm.
You didn't have so much of the progressive rock, but it was um, in England that was the movement that we were part of, and it felt very 60s, and as it went into the 70s, we tried to maintain that kind of musical excitement going that started in the 60s.
Yeah, I've had Sonia Christina on the show. She's so cool. I really, really
Right.
like her. She's
Yeah,
a great person. Yeah,
she's a lovely person. You're dead right.
she is, and she
And
still looks
a great
great.
singer as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. That must
So,
be the Swedish in her.
is that what it is?
Yes, that's what it is.
You know, I've been watching, I don't know why, but I've been having this urge to go to either Finland, Switzerland, or Sweden. And I've been watching
Right.
some videos. I can't believe how many blondes there are out there, huh? It's
Oh,
incredible.
yeah. Well, okay, yeah.
I love it. Well, Charles Shorwell, he's a retired freelance journalist who specialized in the music industry. How did you guys hook up?
Well, we sort of used to hang around actually in the 70s. We were old mates.
Okay.
He was a freelance journalist, and I met him basically through for being in the music business.
Hmm.
And we got on very well, and we kept in touch over the years. And then, funnily enough, he moved down to my area about 6 years ago, and we've sort of got back together and been discussing different projects and talking about music over the years. And this project sort of kind of fitted into our both of our expertises basically. So I could do the music and he could do the book.
Right.
So
Exactly.
it was a joint effort.
I'm going to talk about the story now, and if I get out of line and if I'm saying something that I'm not supposed to, just let me
But
know.
spoiler alert.
Yeah, exactly. But basically, there was an album or some tapes, I guess, found in a box,
Yeah,
and this, I guess, fictitious character founded from his old band.
mm,
Um, and then he contacted. He wanted to get the tapes back together and re-record it. He had his guitarist from his old band, Steve Matlake,
yeah.
Martin Sudley on drums, uh, Brian Ester, the bassist. But basically, these guys are all fictional, right?
Right, they are. They are fictitious characters. Yeah, I mean, there is a bit of a spoiler alert there because the album is a very intrinsic part of the story of the book,
Exactly.
and how it comes about. So I don't really want to talk too much
Okay.
about what happened with the album.
But it's so
Um,
cool. It is so cool how it's all, sets up. And I got a little
yeah,
confused there in the beginning because the credits, are to those characters,
to those characters. Yeah, well, it's their album. Yeah,
It's their album, exactly.
it's a work of art. It's a work of art and work of fiction. Yeah, they're a fictional band, a bit like the Gorillas, shall we say?
Yeah. Magenta Aura, right?
That's what they're called. Yeah,
That's what they're called. Yeah. That's
yeah.
very cool. I love the whole concept. Would you consider this a concept album? I guess.
It would be a concept album. Yes, it is a
Yeah.
concept album because the
Yep.
concept is it's the whole concept is the novel and the album put together, and both of them are symbiotic together. They both work off each other. The novel becomes more interesting if you hear the album, and the album is more interesting if you read the novel. So that it's a dual thing.
Can I ask you who actually did write the music, or I'm not allowed to say that?
You can say that I created the music.
You
I
created the
produced
music.
the music. I produced the music. Just put it that way. I produced the music,
Okay.
and made it possible for it to come about.
Okay.
Um, so, and of course, I also created all the sound, the musical illustrations of the novel. All of those were created by myself. Um, so there's a lot of music in the novel, the music clips and the audio illustrations, and I was integral in putting the album together. Let's put it that way.
Now, would you consider yourself a guest artist on the album as well?
A guest artist on the album?
Yeah,
No, I'm not a guest artist.
you're
No,
not a guest
Steve
artist.
Hogarth is.
Okay.
Steve Hogarth on, he's on the track Morpheus, which is released as a single. I think it's going to be released today, actually,
Yes.
whatever, the 1st of September. Yeah, Steve Hogarth is a guest on the album, and he sings the track Morpheus.
You and Steve go back a ways, don't you? I saw pictures of the early days of both of you together.
Yeah, we were friends when we lived near Windsor. We're talking about 20 years, 30
Yeah.
years ago, isn't it? And he was best man at my wedding.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Very
so
cool.
we met coincidentally, and it just so happened that he was in the rock business and I was in the rock
Hmm.
business, and our careers were kind of roughly at the same place when we met. And then he got the call to join Marillion,
Yeah,
and the rest is history because he's done a really good job in that
he
band.
has. I had the other Steve on the show, Rothery, and I reviewed the new album, which is excellent, by the way, from Merlin.
Right.
I'm a big prog rocker, so you don't have to sell me on progressive rock. And I love it. I love the Brits for creating progressive rock because you guys were so important to that. It was you guys. It was the
Right.
English that created prog rock, and you should be very proud of that.
Yeah, well, it was a great musical movement.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, Jethro Tull were prog rock, and
Hmm.
they were absolutely massive in America because we used to tour with them, and it was to fill stadiums. So I mean, prog rock was a bit of a phenomenon in America, but there was very few prog rock bands, if I can remember. Um, as I say, they were more psychedelic rock than prog. I mean, I remember Flock with Jerry Goodman,
Hmm.
and that was pretty far out there.
Yeah.
Um, but as you say, it was more of an English thing than an American thing.
Yeah.
But
Combination of
it seems like the Americans appreciate it because they you know
yes.
they took Genesis to their hearts, and
Yep.
and other bands as well, that ilk, and King Crimson for that matter.
Yeah. I
And of
love
course
King
the
Crimson.
ultimate of
Yeah.
course the ultimate prog rock band was Pink Floyd, really, if you think
Yeah.
about it.
That's true. That's very true. You could even say the Beatles, I mean,
Well,
Sergeant
yeah,
Pepper's.
I think that's the origins of it, isn't it? It was
Yeah,
that
I think so.
suddenly you could create music that wasn't just a 2.5 minute ditty. It
Hmm.
could actually say something, and I think they turned it into an art form, and that's when people's ears pricked up, and everybody thought, "Hey, this is an exciting thing to be part of."
Yeah.
But it was the Beatles, I think, that actually that broke the mold
Hmm.
of popular music, and basically made it a creative art, an art
Exactly.
form.
Yeah. It's important music. Very
Bless them for
intelligent
doing
music.
so. Yeah,
Yeah.
bless them for doing it.
Well, I'm going to go over some of the tracks on the album. The first one's Life.
Yeah,
Kind of 60s psychedelic, very, very cool lyrics. Life will get you in the end, my friend. No matter how your life is spent, my friend, even if your prayers to heaven, no matter what you save or spend. I love the message there. You get upset if things don't go exactly your way. Hang loose, brother. I've got some news for you. I think there's something you should know. I mean, it's great. To be
it's very
alive, it means
60s,
that
isn't it?
you're still winning. That's a great message right there. To be
It
alive,
is.
it means that you're still winning. That's a great lyric.
Yeah. Yes, I think that's a very nice sentiment. Well done for Daniel for writing it.
Yeah, exactly. I love this. This
Well
is
done
cool.
him. Well done him.
Yeah.
A clever boy he is. He's a very clever boy.
Yes. I'm glad they found that tape in the attic,
Yeah. Oh
and kind
hell. Well.
of put it together, That was
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Guiding Stars, another cool track. That's the second one on the track on the album. Um, is it Chacon? How do you pronounce that third track?
Chacon, yeah, that's
Chacon,
yeah, it's a classical term
right?
for a piece of music that works on the ground, which is basically a chord sequence that keeps repeating and repeating. It's a bit like the blues, but it's a slightly different chord sequence. So it offers up possibilities for improvisation and
Hmm.
variations. And in the 17th century, 18th century, they used to use this ground as a basis for improvising on top of. But of course, they would improvise in a classical manner, and actually it was quite a thing for people to try and out improvise other people. It was
Hmm.
the improvising arts in the classical music in the 17th century and the 18th century were actually quite well thought of, and it was something that people were expected to be able to do. I mean, Mozart was an absolute fantastic proponent of improvisation. He would sit at a piano and rattle out a whole
It's incredible,
sonata
isn't it?
from the top of his head,
Yeah.
without it being written down. It's just coming straight from his noodle onto the keyboard.
All these
So
guys,
it's
they died pretty young too, and they got so much music out in such a rapid succession, very
well,
very
yeah,
quickly.
he was 31, I think he was when he died,
Yeah,
and I think he must have just overdone it. He just basically blew himself out and wore himself
yeah.
out because all the volume of work that he actually put out. I think there was an amazing fact just to copy out all the parts that he actually created manuscript wise would have taken almost a lifetime to do.
Isn't that crazy?
But it was, yeah, it's absolutely fun. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, if you want to compare that to modern day, I mean, the Beatles. Look at all the music they put out so quickly as well.
I know, and all
Yeah,
of it, practically all of it was absolutely sublime.
it is.
And
I
I
mean, they
just think,
just.
well, where the hell did they get it all from?
I
Just where
don't
did it
know.
come from?
I don't know. I
Of
don't know
course,
how they did it.
of course we know LSD,
Yeah,
drugs.
yeah. Hey, sometimes that helps.
Yeah, sometimes it helps. Yeah, yeah.
It's a on that Chacon, kind of a proggy track. I hear. Is there a violin on that track, or is that keyboards, or is it both?
There's no violin on it.
There's
No,
no
there's no
violin
violin
on
on
it.
it. No, no, it's just
Okay,
guitar. It's guitar, keyboards, Hammond, I think.
right.
Um, maybe a bit electric piano, but it's no, there's no violin on it.
Sometimes you got to be very careful when you hear music because their instruments are turning. I mean, violins are turning into guitars.
Yeah,
Guitars are turning into violins.
yeah.
It's sometimes it's hard to really hear the sound,
The difference.
the
I know what you
difference.
mean.
Yeah.
The Yeah, I mean, I spent my whole life trying to imitate the guitar on the violin, because that seemed like that was the way to go. Um, no, just getting sound effect pedals and just trying to beef up the sound of it because the guitar
Right.
is quite a fearsome beast to
Hmm.
compete with, really.
Yeah.
Um, it's But the way the way that you play the guitar is slightly different because of the way you bend the notes is different. But it's
Right.
very strange because since I've been playing the guitar, that I find that it's easier to bend notes on the guitar than it is on the violin, which is really
Hmm.
strange because the violin has no frets and all you got to do is just slide your finger up on the strings,
Hmm.
and you think it would be easy, but it's not because when you slide your finger up on the strings, you go out of position, and that's the difficult part of it. Whereas the guitar, you stay in position, you just bend the strings, but your fingers are in exactly the same position. So it's
Hmm.
slightly easier on the guitar.
Are you playing more electric violin nowadays, or just a basic violin?
I play basic violin most of the time. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
mostly the occasional gig I do. I haven't done a gig for 2 years because of COVID.
Yeah.
Um, that basically closed everything down, and I'm still very wary of going into enclosed
Right.
spaces
Sure.
with lots of people. So it'll maybe a little while before I actually get back on the road again. But I would like to at some point.
I've really got into becoming a bigger fan of the violin because the violin
Right.
is really come in the spotlight in a lot of music, like Game of Thrones. You got the
All right.
violin, you
Yeah.
got cello combination.
Yeah.
There's a band from Norway called Mir that uses two violins on all their music, which I love. I
Right.
interview those guys; they're really cool. But
I haven't heard
I
of
love the
those. I'll have to check
violin.
them out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mir,
it's a great instrument.
Meer. Yeah,
Meer.
right.
Mir.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll take
Um,
them out.
they have a song called Beehive that they record live in this room, which is marvelous. And there's two girls playing the violin, and they're really good. But I love the
Oh,
violin. Violin's incredible.
oh, yeah,
It's a great sound,
yeah, it is. It's a very versatile instrument. The
and
only
you're
thing
good
it
at
can't
it.
do is the only thing it can't do is play chords.
Yeah, yeah,
You
exactly.
can play chords, but it's not designed for that really.
Yeah,
Um, so it's a lead instrument basically. Most of the
right.
time, it's a lead instrument.
Some of your recent publicity photos I've been noticing. You've got a look of an 18th century famous composer now. I
Have I?
mean, it's almost like you're reincarnated from the
What?
past, you know? Your
Well,
outfits, you know?
all right, yeah, I can't remember. Well, I've got one where I've got a guitar under my chin instead of a
Yeah, I saw
violin.
that one too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I used to in Curved Air, not the last part of the last knockings of Curved Air. I used to dress up as Paganini
Oh, really?
with a tail suit
Yeah.
and and a top hat. But yeah, but that was that was a sort of little homage to Paganini,
Hmm.
um, and that was a kind of stage show as well. So I have a history of dressing up different different personas in my performances.
Well, Morpheus, like you mentioned before, is a great song with Steve. Um, you know, I had a question on this song and I just lost it here. Um, anyway, Morpheus means the Greek god of dreams. Is that right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
dreams or sleep. I'm not
Or
really
sleep.
sure.
Okay.
I think Morpheus is sleep. Um, it could be dreams. I mean, I stand to be correct, but I always thought it was sleep, and that's why the morphine and it's all related to that to the Greek word, the wording that means sleep.
Right.
So if you give somebody morphine, you're putting them to sleep.
Right.
So it's Morpheus is the god of sleep, and I think in the novel that the protagonist Daniel Luckham has problems with sleeping
Hmm.
on tour, and it's a constant aggravation for him, and it's one of the things that basically spoils his enjoyment of being on tour. So he wrote this song about his affliction,
Hmm.
which was insomnia, which he could he's finding it difficult to get to sleep. So that's why it's Morpheus, where is your tender embrace? Why
Yeah.
are you hiding away? I want to
Yeah.
sleep.
Exactly. Yeah. Michael Jackson had that problem, and it killed him
No, I
because.
know. I always think of that. It's worrying, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a shame. I had his regular doctor on the show, but the guy that actually administered the populated,
Yeah.
he was like a cardiologist or something. I mean, he wasn't even a anesthesiologist, so he didn't. I don't think he knew what he was doing. On top
Oh,
of
good.
that,
Yeah. It's just he was able to prescribe it or get his hands on it.
yeah, populated is when you go under, have surgery. It's not.
Yeah. It's just an anesthetic. Yeah. You're gonna
Yeah.
be.
It's-
I was thinking if he was doing that stuff, how the hell would he do? Get up and perform the next
I
day?
don't know. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Some of the things
But
these guys do, it's amazing. You know,
yeah.
it's one thing to get high before a show, do some pot or do whatever. But, like Elvis, he took pills to get up. He took pills to go to sleep. I mean, it was nonstop. That's got to take a
Non-stop.
toll after a while.
Yeah, and it used to be the same with the Hollywood uh, actors and actresses, wasn't it? When they were on contract to the big studios,
That's right.
they were given those pills, to
Right.
get them to sleep at night, and then pills in the day
Yep.
to get them back up again. And I think that did for a lot of them.
Yeah.
They got
I
hooked
even,
on it because the studio was giving them to them to
yeah.
get their money's worth out of their performances.
Yeah. I think
Quite
it didn't,
extraordinary.
didn't, I think Nazi pilots were given drugs too to stay awake, is
Right.
what I understand in the war.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that was not a good idea because a lot of them, Yeah, didn't work out for them.
No.
You know what? One of my favorite songs is on this album, "Chelsea Girls."
Oh, that's nice.
I love
I,
that
I
tune.
like that. Yeah, yeah. That's also a sort of little episode in the book as well, where he fails miserably to pick up any Chelsea girls when he goes to Chelsea.
Yeah.
Um, he compares his experiences in the Chelsea drugstore um, to what happened with Alex in the Clockwork Orange. In the
Hmm.
Clockwork Orange, there's a scene where Alex goes into the Chelsea drugstore and then picks up these two girls and goes back and has fun with them. But poor old Daniel never has any luck whatsoever with them. They always look at him, take one look at him, and think, well, he's a bum, and walk away.
You know,
So that's on.
I used to
Carry
love
on.
British girls in the '60s. You know,
Yeah,
the mini skirts and the boots and everything, and you know,
patent leather boots. Yeah,
yeah,
well,
Twiggy.
we all
I love
did.
Twiggy. Yeah.
Yeah, Twiggy. There was some. Yeah, there was the Shrimpton, Gene Shrimpton. Who else was there? I can't remember now.
Yeah.
Maud Adams, Maud
Yeah,
James was. I
that's
can't remember.
right.
Yeah.
I even remember Judy Carn. I used to have a crush on her. The girl from oh my god, from To Sir with Love, the one of the main girls there. I forgot her name, but
Was
she
that
was
Rita
incredible.
Tushingham? I can't remember.
Maybe, but Lulu was a good looking girl too. She got
All
better as
right.
she got older. She got even prettier. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, she's fared very well. Actually, she continues to look wonderful for her age.
Yeah. I had Michael DeBar on the show a couple of times. He was in To Sir with Love. He was the guy with the shades in that
All
movie.
right.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
To, to serve with love. Now,
It's
who was the star of that?
Sidney Poitier.
Cindy Portier, of course.
Yeah,
Oh, fantastic.
yeah. There was a lot of mod scenes in that. You know, it was back in the '60s. It's very
Right.
cool movie. But some of the lyrics on Chelsea Girls, I walked up to her and found I couldn't speak. My hands were shaking and my legs were feeling weak. She just stood there and looked at me. If I wasn't there, then turned around and walked away with her head up in the air. Kind of
Yeah.
sounded Dr. Seuss there for a little bit.
Yeah, that was a story of my life actually. But it seems to be very, yes. You know, we all have those moments, don't we?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Why are
Mm.
we so scared of good-looking girls sometimes? Especially
I
back
don't know.
then, you know. I was always scared of cheerleaders.
Oh dear.
Another track, Mods and Rockers. You know. Now, was the violin featured on that track?
No, there's no
No, there's no
violin
violin
or
on that
anywhere.
either.
No,
Oh
no,
my goodness.
no.
Oh,
Yeah, Modern Rockers is basically kind of the Who type track, and it's a
right.
tribute to the. It was a phenomenon we had in the '60s. I don't think you had in America, which is the Mods and Rockers. I think it's something that you didn't have.
No,
Um,
we had mods, especially
you
when I
had
was in school. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, the Mods and Rockers used to gather together on every sort of bank holiday,
Okay.
go down to the coast, and then have these amazing punch ups. You know, like just walking battles. Um, so it was so the whole of the seaside town were disrupted with all these running battles going on, and it was a feature of almost every summer bank holiday,
Hmm.
and and that's what this song is about. It's about the fights that used to go on there, and it's also a little bit of a tribute to the I think the Who as well. It's
Yeah.
shows the influence that the Who had on Daniel's career anyway.
Right. I remember the Beatles always talked about getting into fights. What was it? The toughs. You know, like gangs of toughs is what they called them.
Tough,
Toughs.
right?
Yeah. I guess they were just bullies or whatever. But
Yeah,
Pete Best told me him and John Lennon used to fight a lot. You know.
really.
Yeah, against those
Well,
guys. Yeah.
I think it does happen in bands, doesn't it? It's you get four or five blokes together in a confined
Right.
space, and it's like a hothouse situation.
Hmm.
And if anything, sort of resentment start to grow, build up, could be anything from somebody getting more money,
Hmm.
or pulling more chicks, or whatever, just getting what they think is special treatment, and then things just people tend to sort of blow up a bit.
Yeah.
I think it's a common thing, but it's just
Yep.
you think, well, people like John Lennon was a man of peace, but it's if you're in a band situation, you're traveling together for 24 hours.
Yeah.
There's always going to be disputes, and I know that the police used to fight quite heavily as well.
Really?
Stewart and Sting, yeah.
That's funny.
It's on camera, isn't it? There's a scene where they actually get into like a mock fight, but it looks a bit
Yeah.
more than a mock fight. It looks a bit rougher than that.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's quite well documented that they used to have fisticuffs, and you know we've all had our moments in bands.
Hmm.
And eventually, I suppose it gets to the stage if you really can't get on with the other guys, you just have to leave,
Yeah.
and that's probably the reason why most bands split up.
Yeah.
It's either that they're fed up with somebody else
Right.
in the band, or there's a musical difference that they can't that cannot be worked out.
Yeah. Well, John Lennon fought on a bus with Chris Montez and
Chris Montez.
Tom. Oh gosh, what is wrong with me? Um, Tommy Rowe broke up the fight. I talked to Tommy Rowe about that. So he broke up a fight between Montez and John Lennon, and it was on a bus. I think they were traveling together. Tommy Rowe played on the bill with
Oh,
the
right.
Beatles
Oh, I
for,
see.
for a
So
long
this was
time.
the tour
Tour
bus.
bus, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
right.
yeah. So yeah, a little hostility there on tour buses, huh?
Yeah. Well, it
Yeah,
does happen. It does happen.
but John
You
Lennon
know,
was kind
it,
of a wise guy too.
he's a
When
wise
I,
guy.
yeah, he was kind of a wise
You
guy.
don't mean that. You don't mean that in the American sense, do you?
No, 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 no. No, he didn't go that way.
No,
Mafioso.
no.
But yeah, Tom Jones had a really cool story that he was watching them warm up before a show, and Tom Jones was on the bill too. Some kind of, I don't know where it was. Could have been the Hollywood Bowl or something like that. And Tom Jones says that he was sitting on the front row, and Lennon called him a puff, a Welsh puff, or something like that.
Welsh puff.
Yeah,
Yeah, Welsh puff. It's puff, not puff. Puff.
puff. And
Puff.
Tom Jones was ready to fight him, and his manager told him, cool it. That's just the way he is, and leave it be, But
Right.
that's the way he was. He was just, he was a character.
Well, I know he had a bit of a lost period, didn't he? When he imbibed a lot of alcohol, there was a kind of lost period. I can't
Right.
remember when that was.
With
Um,
May Pang, when he went
was
out with
it?
May Pang, and
All right. Okay.
yeah, hung out with Nielsen, I think, in California and all that stuff. Yeah,
Right. Okay.
yeah, I remember that.
Oh,
Yep.
wow. And
Yeah, it was
yeah, that was before Yoko Ono. That was, or was it the same time? Could have been at
same time.
could,
He
same
got
time.
away from Yoko Ono for a while, and I guess he was allowed to have an affair.
Right.
Yoko
Oh
gave
yes,
him.
I do remember that. Yes,
Yeah,
it was consensual, wasn't it?
yeah, it was consensual. Yeah,
And then
interesting.
and then it got out of hand.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, everybody's got their demons.
Yeah. The final cut on the album, Rosemary. I sensed a kind of a Beatle feel to that song,
Oh,
right?
have you got
A
that?
little bit.
Have you got that version? Because that's been stripped off the album now.
What, Rosemary is not on the
Yeah.
album? Yeah,
No.
really.
Yeah. When did you get that version then?
Recently, it was sent to
Oh,
me a day or two ago, I think.
oh my God, yeah, you got the wrong copy.
Oh, okay.
They're sending out the wrong copy.
Really?
Oh, have you haven't got the CD though? It's not the CD.
No,
It's
no,
it's
no,
just
no. It's a
it's a
link.
dish. It's a link.
It's a link, right?
Okay. Well, I
Uh,
better get that sorted out.
talk to Billy James.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one who sent it to me, so I don't know where he got it from.
Right. That's an old cut.
Okay.
That's been stripped off the album, and it's been replaced by an instrumental track.
Okay.
It was yeah, I thought we decided that that one wasn't, it didn't quite fit in with the rest of the
Right.
of the tracks.
Okay.
It was an attempt at a single, I think, if I remember correctly,
Hmm.
and it didn't really quite work. So we stripped that one from the album.
So what's the name of the final track of the album now? The instrumental?
Uh, it's called Time Machine.
Time Machine. Okay.
Time
All
Machine,
right.
and it's a track in odd rhythms, 13/8 and 7/4s, and all kinds of strange rhythms. That's why it's called Time Machine, but it's an instrumental track.
I also want to mention you did an incredible job with Destinations. You had
Right, thank you.
Destinations 1. Not that long ago, you released Destinations 2,
Right,
which I also tried to listen to. There's cuts on YouTube, but not the whole album. I couldn't find the album anywhere.
right.
But it's a really good album. And Destinations
Oh,
1, I love.
oh, thank you very much.
And anybody that travels, especially travels the world, is going to really enjoy it because you got that feel for different destinations around the world.
Yeah, it was a kind of like an audio an audio representation of or an audio representation of the places that people might travel to, and the
Hmm.
places that I've been to are just um, and the different places have different music, different musical styles. So it was a lovely thing to be able to dip into other musical styles other than my basic basic music style, which is prog rock and classical
Hmm.
music. So it was quite liberating, and it was the first time that I was wrote an album with the guitar, and that kind of liberated me as well,
You did
because
a
I was
great job. You were you,
finding
you're
new
excellent
things
on
to
the
do.
guitar. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I enjoy playing it. I just wish I did it 40 years ago. I mean, I'm what you might call a bit slow on the uptake. I, I mean, if I'd learned, if I'd done that 40 years ago, I could have, dipped into all
Yeah.
kinds of different things. You never know. I suppose I was so obsessed with the violin and composing that kind of took up all my time.
Yeah.
But the guitar is a wonderful
Hmm.
thing, and it's so different from playing the violin, and it just for me it's quite a relaxation to play, and I really enjoy it.
Well, you got a great compliment. Some people were comparing Mother Earth to David Gilmour, your
Oh,
guitar
right.
playing. Yeah. They say
Well, I
it
did that.
sounded Pink Floydish.
Well, that's really great because that was kind of the effect that I was trying to find, trying to create.
Right.
Um, I'm a great fan of that of Mr. Gilmore. He's a phenomenal guitarist,
Yeah.
and I just love to hear him play. It's just wonderful. I mean, I saw them in the early years,
Hmm.
Hammersmith Odeon a couple of times, and but the way he makes the guitar sing, it's truly classical
Hmm.
in its scale and its breadth of feeling.
And it's effortless too. I mean, he just, it's amazing.
It is effortless.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
bastard. Yeah.
what electric guitar are you using? Are you doing Fenders or Gibsons or
It's Strat. Yeah, it's a
you're
Stratocaster.
doing the Strat? Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
but it's
Mr.
a
Gilmore.
50.
Yeah.
It's a 50 quid Strat.
Really?
Yeah, it's really a strange story. It was given to me by my sister-in-law. She bought it for one of her children,
Uh-huh.
and they didn't get on with it. And so
Really?
she said I could have it,
Huh.
and so I had it. And it's a 50 quid, 50
Hmm.
pound guitar, and a Strat repro, and I just looked at it and I played around with it, and I just adjusted things here and there, and eventually I got it so it was as good as any Strat that I'd actually
Sure.
played, and it's it does the job, does a very good job.
Well, you know what this means now that you're playing guitar, right? You're going to start collecting guitars.
Oh yeah, well I've got a few violins, that's for sure. I've got a
Yeah.
few of those.
How many violins do you have?
I've got 5 in here already,
Right.
somewhere around here.
Do you have
Yeah.
a Stradivarius?
No, I wish I did.
Yeah.
I wish I did. I'd be retired by now if I did. They're worth millions, aren't they?
Are they worth
No,
millions
yeah,
now? Wow.
yeah, they are millions. Yeah. No, I
And
don't have a
guitars
Strad, but I've
too.
got a
Yeah.
yeah, guitars, especially if they got any provenance.
Yeah.
Somebody who's played it, a Hendrix guitar, I don't know how much they would go for nowadays.
Guitars really hold their value, you
Yeah, I
know.
bet.
Yeah. One day I'd like to go to a yard sale that somebody doesn't know what they have, you know, and
Oh, that one, wouldn't that be
well, yeah,
wonderful?
yeah, a 58 Les Paul or something like that. That'd be
Yeah.
so cool. Some of the
Or
other
Les Paul
tracks,
Jr.
yeah.
Carry on.
Some of the other tracks on the album. The first track, I don't know if I can pronounce this. Is it Alhambra Nights? Alhambra Nights?
Alhambra Night. Alhambra
Alhambra
Nights.
Nights,
Yeah.
which is
Alhambra.
they are you is it Spain that we're talking about
Yeah,
here? Okay.
it's the Alhambra, the palace,
Okay.
the
Alhambra.
Alhambra Palace
Okay.
in Granada.
Right.
And we went there, and it was one of the most impressive buildings I've ever been in my life.
Mm.
It's Moorish. It's got the Arab style of art decoration all around it, and it was built when the Moors were basically in charge of Spain, and this is one of their castles and their defending points. But the interior is designed so exquisitely. It's like a wedding cake. Everywhere you look is like a wedding cake.
Huh.
And it's absolutely beautiful.
See, I love
And
these tracks because they give you a picture, you know, a description of the with the with every song, and it's great. I love it. They should put destinations on every airline. How about that?
Oh, I wish they would, Ray.
You know,
Can you arrange that? Can you sort that out for me?
I will. I'll work on it. Yeah.
Yeah, then I'd retire in comfort.
Okay. I'll work on that. At least
Yeah.
Virgin Airlines, you know.
Oh, yeah. I used
That
to
would-
be on Virgin at one point. I had a record out on Virgin once.
Is that right? Really?
Yeah, I did. Yes, that was an album uh, of string music.
Mhm.
It featured a chamber orchestra. I can't remember what it's called now, but it was about 30 years ago.
Cafe de Paris, of course, French culture indicated there on
Yeah,
that track.
that's Paris. Yeah,
Yeah. You got Colombian Gold. You got Ocean Blues.
yeah.
You got Choctaw Ridge, which is kind of a hoedown, isn't it?
Well, Choctaw Ridge. Yeah, the last part is, but Choctaw Ridge is. I really love that the song Billie Joe McAllister.
Yep.
Um, is that the title of it? What's it called? The day that
um,
Billie Joe McAllister
jumped
jumped off
off
the
the
Tallahatchie
Tallahassee Bridge.
Bridge.
Bobby
What's the
Gentry.
name of
Yeah.
it? Bobby
Bobby
Gentry. Bobby
Gentry's the
Gentry.
artist. Yeah.
Yeah, Bobby
Yeah.
Gentry is the artist, but
Yeah.
that song drips with the atmosphere of the South
Right.
of America,
Yep.
Louisiana, and in the swamps, and it just kind of it just gets to you. I just was intrigued whether I could just maybe reproduce a bit of that feeling in that track. I don't know if I succeeded, but that was the idea that I had in my mind.
Hmm.
That's the inspiration for that track. Is the song.
You know, it's so cool. If you really wanted to, you can get into a little Charlie Daniels, you know, and do the country thing as well, not just prog,
Yeah.
but you can do classical. You can do everything with the violin, pretty
Yes,
much.
you can. It's well, see, you can do the same with the guitar. It covers all kinds of styles, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But the
But the
violin,
violin is very much hoedown, isn't it?
right,
And it's got
right.
a huge um, folk history, the
Hmm.
violin,
It
and
does.
there's lots of fantastic pieces written for the violin, and of folk music. It's a wealth of it. But I do like bluegrass. I have to say,
Mhm.
I do like bluegrass, and
You
I do
like
like
bluegrass?
hoedown.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the piece by Aaron Copland, Hoedown, which is
Hmm.
absolutely fantastic. And you know, he was influenced by, you know, by the actual bluegrass music, hoedown music.
Yeah. Could you do a bluegrass album? Maybe go to Nashville or something, you know?
Well, yeah, my manager used to have an office when I was managed by Miles Copeland. He did have an office in Nashville,
Right.
and he was managing some sort of quite Garth Brooks was a Garth. Uh, well, he was managing quite some pretty big
Hmm.
stars out there
Right.
before he got out of the music business.
I had Miles on the show, by the way.
Did you? Oh,
Yeah, yeah, I did.
well, how long ago was that?
It's been a while. It's been I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, something like
All
that.
right.
Yeah, the interview's on YouTube.
And what was he doing then? Was he doing his belly dancing troupe still?
I can't remember what he was doing at the time. I mean,
Uh,
if I was interviewing, he was probably promoting something. I forgot. I forgot what he was
yeah.
doing. He's been
Right.
involved with so many things, so many bands. You know, of
Oh, yeah. Well, he's
course,
got
the Police. Yeah.
well, the Police, REM.
Yep.
The list goes on and on.
Yeah.
Squeeze.
Right.
Was Squeeze big out in America?
Yeah, they were pretty big. Yeah,
Yeah.
not like the Police, but they were very well known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he had some, you know, had some really good. He had a good eye for acts, definitely.
Yeah. We need more of those pioneers in the music industry. You know, there's a lot of them are gone
Yeah.
now, but yeah. Anyway, you got Fiesta Mexicana. Of course, we know where we're going with that. Um,
Yeah.
you play good acoustic guitar too, as well. I mean, you did you play you played acoustic on a few tracks here as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a little three-quarter size acoustic guitar, which just fits me perfectly because I've got fairly small hands,
Hmm.
and you know, same size that oh, I've forgotten his name now. The English singer. Oh, that's terrible. But it's only a three-quarter size, but it does the job. And once again, that was a hand-me-down. I, I, you know, everything has been handed down to me, which is
Well,
a bit worrying, really.
all the legends started out buying instruments in pawn shops.
Yeah, there it
Oh,
is.
there you
It's a
go.
little,
Yeah,
yeah, the
very
three-quarter
cool.
size.
Yeah, I had Ian Anderson on the show not long ago. It was my
Yeah,
first Zoom interview with Ian, and I've interviewed Ian 3, 4 times. I love to chat with him. And you were on Heavy Horses, which was
right.
cool. That had to been a hoot.
But it was. Well, we toured together in America in the 70s, 72, something like
Right.
73, supporting Jethro Tull.
Yeah.
And, you know, as we were on the same tour, we actually flew in their aeroplane. You know, they had their own little private airplane. It was a bit rickety and a bit
Right.
worrying, but, and we got, you know, Ian and myself, we became quite good friends. And so I would, when we were back in England, I would go and visit him, and he would, you know, come up and see me. You know, we were quite friendly at one point.
Hmm.
Um, you know, as much as you can be, because somebody like Ian is on the road most of the time.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, he was, you know, continually on the road, but we
Yeah.
got on very well. And so he suggested, you know, to come and do something on Heavy Horses,
Right.
which I was happy to do. And I remember that he was very particular about what he wanted,
Hmm.
and it took quite a few takes for him to be satisfied with what I did. And
Really.
I thought I was hammering it every time. I thought I was nailing it, and he would say, "I'm not quite so sure about the second note." And he was very, very particular. He's a perfectionist,
Yes,
and
he
you can
is.
hear that in the music. You can hear the way that the music produced. It's all absolutely spot on,
Hmm.
and the performances. So yes, he was a perfectionist, but you know, in the end, what he came up with for me was actually very good. So he was right to keep me going at it.
Well, Heavy Horse is one of my favorite tracks by
Was
Toll.
it?
So yeah,
All
you did
right.
you did an excellent job. I'm surprised he didn't use you on more tracks. I know he's used like Eddie Jobson.
Oh,
Um,
use Eddie.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, because
I
you're
thought.
I consider you one of the best violinists out there.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you to say so.
Yeah.
I'm
I
very,
mean,
very, very pleased to hear that. Um, I think that I kind of disappeared into the composing world a little bit more than I should have done, perhaps,
right.
and moved away from live performances. So people perhaps didn't see me performing and see me playing, and perhaps they
Yeah.
thought that I had retired, which I hadn't, but
Yeah.
because I've been basically concentrating on writing music as opposed to actually
Right.
performing it. But I saw a photograph the other day, and of Frank Zappa, and I could swear that Eddie Jobson was in the photograph. Did he play with Frank Zappa?
He might have. I'm not sure. Jean-Luc Ponty, right, was in Zappa.
Yeah,
I've interviewed him.
yeah. Jean-Luc
Yeah,
Ponty is another
Jean-Luc.
old friend of mine.
Yeah.
We used to hang out, yeah, whenever he was around.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things. If we ever met, or we ever, because it's a very small world of rock
Right.
violinists or jazz violinists. There's only a few of us around, especially from the 70s.
Right.
And it's nice to see that Jean-Luc Ponty is still going. He's going very well. And I've seen recently that he's been playing with John McLaughlin.
That's right.
Um, and that's a fantastic combination.
Yeah.
Because John McLaughlin, or Johnny Max, as we used to call him, he's one of my
Yeah.
favorite guitarists. It takes a lot of beating.
Yeah. I had him on the show too. I was surprised because I thought he would be very serious, kind of like Ian. You know how Ian is very
Yeah.
serious in interviews and things like that. But anyway, he was a regular guy, very fun, very personable.
Oh,
No,
wonderful.
yeah, he was a good guy. I really liked the Mahavishnu Orchestra. They,
Oh, my favorites. I mean,
Birds of Fire, one of my favorite albums.
oh, it's a fantastic album.
Yeah,
Just to listen to that all the time.
and
Um,
I know Billy Cobham. Billy Cobham's been on the
right.
show several times too.
Wonderful.
So,
Well, we've got some good people on. What are you
oh
doing having
yeah.
me on?
Hey, it's called Interviewing the Legends, my show. So
Yeah.
there you
All
go.
right.
I only get
Oh,
legends on the
wonderful.
show.
Oh, that's sweet. I'm a legend.
I
Wow.
love the way you do classical music as well. I like you did. Is it Farandole by Bizet?
Bizet.
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 Bizet, yeah.
Bizet.
Um,
Bizet.
he's a French composer.
Right.
And Farandole is one of those funny one of those pieces I remember from my childhood, and
Beautiful.
it's stuck in my mind. And I thought, well, that would be a great piece to put a beat to.
Right.
Um, so it's got a great beat to it, and it's something that goes round and round and round. It's repetitive, so it has a kind of a rock feel to it, because it repeats and repeats. I mean, I've also did a rock version of the Four Seasons, which was about 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
Which is something that I've always wanted to do, to be quite honest. Just to perform it, really, more than anything, to get a recording of it done. But as it's me, I have to have a beat with it. So it has to have some kind of rock connection. But funnily enough, it really worked. Well, I think it worked well. I don't know. It's not for me to say, but I think it worked really quite well. Because once again, Baroque music has got a inherent rhythm to it, because
Right.
they were very much into rhythm. It's only when classical music sort of developed further that the rhythmic side kind of got lost a bit. But Baroque music is just full of rhythm, and it pounds and it drives forward, and you add a beat to it, and it just drives forward and pounds forward even better. Or in my mind, shall we say, not to everybody's mind.
It's amazing when you hear a good prog rock band. You can hear those symphonic influences from the past, especially like ELP, bands like that,
Yeah, yeah.
very, very cool. Curved
Well, they
Air
were,
as well.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. Well, Kurt, and also, well, the Nice before ELP. That was
Hmm.
the band that we used to listen to,
Yeah.
um, with the arrangements of Bernstein's America,
Hmm.
and also the Corellia suite by who wrote the Corellia? Sibelius.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean that was just revolution, to that, because as Curved Air was made up of two classical musicians. That was Francis Monkman and myself. Who
Hmm.
Well, Francis went to the Royal Academy and I went to the Royal College.
Right.
Um, and when we heard the Nice doing all this stuff, we thought, yeah, there is there is a place for us. We can actually get out there and do something.
Exactly.
Um, and so that's how, we formed a band and it became a prog rock band.
I love classical music, but it gets complicated to figure out, You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah, it's like math in a way, you know?
Well, some Bach is very mathematical. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, yes, it's more interwoven.
right.
There's a lot more subtleties going on, shall we say, and you have to listen to it perhaps more than once at least to to understand what's actually going on. But
Exactly.
classical music is absolutely, what's come on down through the years
Hmm.
has served that it stood the test of time, and what we know, the music we know today is all of it is being kind of has stood the test of time,
Right.
and it's wonderful stuff. What
Yeah.
we hear now, it is absolutely wonderful. And also the thing that amazes me now is that the standard of the orchestras is so high. You hear some wonderful performances of classical music now. Um, it's come on leaps and bounds. I mean,
Hmm.
there's one orchestra that plays a whole program of music from memory. I forgot what the name of the orchestra is now, but it's all from memory.
I don't know how
There's
they
no
do that.
music stands, and they're
Huh.
standing up.
Wow.
Um, and it's easy enough to remember the melody, the first violin part, perhaps, but
Yeah.
not all the inside parts, all the harmony parts. And they have
Right.
to remember all the entries, but the performance these guys give is just
Mm.
absolutely unbelievable, because it's from their heart. They're not
Hmm.
having to look at the music and read. It's just straight out into the audience.
It's amazing.
It is an amazing thing.
You've played with a bunch of orchestras, right?
I have done, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Mostly down here in the southwest,
Right.
with the Southwest Sinfonietta, which was started by my brother, in fact.
Hmm.
And when he retired, I took over the leadership of that orchestra.
Yeah.
But it was, it's a semi-pro orchestra. It wasn't fully professional, because to fund an orchestra costs a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
But I played in the Electric Symphony Orchestra, which was formed by Richard Gonski and Francis Monkman, the keyboard player, curved there.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I played in the National Philharmonic, which was Sid Sax's orchestra, which did the big scores for the Bond movies and all that sort of stuff. But that wasn't really my bag, because I'm not really a sight reader. I'm a person that needs to see the music first.
Yeah.
So I did that, but it wasn't my cup of tea.
You should be doing scores, movie scores, right?
It'd be lovely, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a few actually, but that was when I was being managed by Miles.
Okay.
He started producing movies. He sort of executive producing
Right.
movies, and then he got into it. And I did a couple of low budget movies.
Hmm.
One Roger Corman movie, actually. Um, he produced it. He didn't direct it, but it was a Roger Corman production.
Hmm.
And the other two were kickboxing movies.
Really?
um, but then Miles decided he wasn't going to be involved in the film business anymore. He didn't like it, so he got
Yeah.
out, and that was the end of my career in film, unfortunately.
Yeah. You know what? This new album, the book, that could be a movie. That'd be an
Wouldn't that be
interesting movie.
nice?
Yeah.
It would be.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies is actually With Nail and I. Have you ever seen that?
Which one?
With Nail and I.
No, I don't think saw that. Who was in it?
Oh, Richard E. Grant,
Okay.
and somebody else whose name escapes me right now. But it's kind of like a low budget English movie, but it's about the same period that the book is set in, which is the
Okay.
late 60s, and
Right.
about two out of work actors
Hmm.
who, one is an alcoholic and the other one is just basically a very nervous character. But do yourself a favor, watch that film. If you're a fan of the 60s,
Yes.
you'll absolutely love it. I
Okay.
promise you. With Nail and I. It's a
With Neil
it's a
and I.
British classic, but
Yeah.
it'll translate right across the board. It's beautiful.
I love a lot of the English movies. They're, kind of sometimes they're a little slow,
Yeah,
but for some reason it keeps your attention at the same time, and like the Michael Caine movies, I used to
yeah,
love all the Michael Caine stuff.
yeah.
Alfie. Alfie was a good
Buffy,
one.
yeah.
Yeah,
Get Carter.
yeah,
Yeah, no, he's done some really good stuff.
yeah, exactly.
Check out Within a Night.
Okay,
It's that was always in the back of my mind when we got this project together.
right.
And funny you should say about turning the book into a film, because that would be wonderful. It would have that same kind of feel about it.
Well, that's your next project.
Yeah.
I'm actually I've got a meeting. This is one of my books. It's about growing up in the family business. It's called Check the G's, but I'm going to change the name. But I'm pitching it for a sitcom.
Oh, wonderful.
And I have a meeting in about 2 or 3 days to see, I haven't written a script yet, but I want to pitch it first to see if it goes anywhere.
All
So,
right. What, if you
yeah,
show it to me again? Show it to me again.
that's me,
Check
the
the
front
G's.
cover. Check the
Oh, I
G's.
see.
We used to
It's a
say
bit,
check the G's would mean go wait on the customer. And I grew
oh,
up
the
in a family
G's.
business in D.C., Washington,
Right.
D.C., about 2 blocks from the White House. But that was our way of life. I mean, my whole life was working at my father's store, which was retail
Right.
electronics.
Retail
So
electronics.
yeah, but we had people from all over the world because it was in D.C. And one of our best customers were actually the Nigerians.
Right.
They would come in and spend a boatload of money when their naira was good and oil was good
Yeah.
in Nigeria. So
Wow.
interesting story, but it's a funny story too. I had a very crazy upbringing and crazy family.
Right. So, and you say you got a meeting in what, 2 or 3 days'
Two or
time?
3 days, yeah.
Yeah. And
Um,
who's the meeting with?
I
If you don't
she's
mind me
a
asking.
she's like a producer. There's tons of them out there, but there's a website, and I'll send it to you. It's called Stage 32,
Right.
and that's all they do is they help you with with screenwriting. It's all about the movie business,
Okay.
and you can set up meetings with these people. It costs you a few dollars, not a lot, but it costs you a few dollars to set it up. You can either do a Skype interview or a phone interview with them
All right.
and discuss your project.
Oh,
And if they
wonderful.
like it, then you're going to say, okay, give me the script. You know,
I'll give you the script. Yeah.
give you the
So
script. That's next.
what you've got there is a novel, right? You've got a novel.
It's a novel.
That's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And so you'd have to turn it into a script.
Yes. Which I can do.
Right.
It's pretty easy because the story's all based on the book. So a screenplay is easy. It's not hard. Writing a book is different. That takes a lot of time.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. But I'm going to
Yeah.
put you maybe in my next series of the Rockstar Chronicles.
Oh, right.
This is
Ray Shasho.
this is like 50 interviews that I've done in the past, and we want to put you in maybe the next series.
Oh, how lovely.
But I've got all the guys from Emerson, Lake and Palmer in there. I've got Ian Anderson, and you name it,
Oh,
they're all in there.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh, wonderful.
I want to put out 3 or 4 series. It's kind of an encyclopedia of rock, but they're all interviews. They're all like this. Regular
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah, isn't it
So
funny how things have changed with this? Do you think Zoom is? I mean,
I
Zoom has really kind of revolutionized this whole situation, hasn't it? I mean, here
I
we are
love Zoom.
talking. We're just talking as if you're across the road, not across the table. To me, it's ridiculous.
I love
And
it.
yeah,
Look at the quality. I mean, the
yeah,
old days, remember, oh no, it's long distance. It's going to cost me a fortune.
right, yeah,
Don't have to worry about that anymore.
no.
Yeah.
I came across somebody the other day who I did an interview for somebody, and he was still doing it the old-fashioned way. He was a music journalist, and he
Right.
was still going into the sort of the British Library and
Hmm.
going through books and researching the 60s or the 70s, whatever period he was working. I think he was working on the 70s, and doing it going through journals and through newspapers at the time, and I just thought, well, why don't you just dial it in on Google? But
Yeah.
he actually preferred to do that. He actually
Really?
preferred to do it.
Yeah, I don't have
Which
time
is
for that.
really
I do so
no,
many
exactly
interviews, you know.
right,
Later on
right.
today, I got the original drummer from Can Heat. Remember Can Heat?
Oh, I do. I love Candy.
And next week, I got the lead singer from the Standells. Remember the Standells? They did the
I
Dirty
probably know on the
Water.
tracks.
Love that dirty water, you know.
I
So,
don't know that one. I have to say.
60
So I
song.
love Candy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Who is the original drummer from Candy?
His name is, well, his nickname is Frito. Frito de la Para. He's a
All
Mexican guy.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
They all had little nicknames from Can Heat.
All right.
Yeah. One was Bear. The big guy was Bear.
Right.
Yeah, they lost a lot of guys in that band. He's the only guy left, I think, from
Right.
Can Heat. Yeah.
Yeah, because Bob Height, he
Bob
passed away
Height.
quite, yeah,
Yeah.
he passed away, a long, long time ago, didn't he?
Yep.
But
Yeah.
what a voice.
Yeah. Exactly. They're a good band, good blues band.
Yeah.
Darryl, are you still teaching? You teach online?
I haven't done recently, no.
Okay.
Because I've been working on this project for the
Right.
last year and a half. And I've just the last 5 months I've been working on the audiobook of the novel. So I've been recording that in my studio here for to release soon after the release of the novel and the album. So it's been an ongoing situation for about a year and a half. So my teaching
Right.
had to go onto the back burner.
Well, you had
But I probably
Destinations
will start
too.
again.
Yeah, you
And
had
I'm
Destinations
doing a
too.
lot of writing. I've been doing a
Yeah.
lot of stuff.
You are doing a lot of stuff. That's good.
I'm doing a lot of stuff.
A lot of different
It keeps
things
me it
too.
keeps me it keeps me out from underneath my wife's feet, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Well, you look great. What are you, 41, 42?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Darryl,
yeah.
here's your final question. I ask everybody that I interview this question, and I probably asked you
Right,
this in our last interview. If you had a
right.
Field of Dreams wish, like the movie, to perform, collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be?
Past or present. So
Mhm.
it's somebody who might be dead.
Yeah, could be Beethoven.
Yeah. Um, Perform. What a difficult one. Um, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go a strange one. I'm gonna say, who am I gonna go for? Oh, difficult, 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 difficult. Um, Harpo Marx.
Harpo Marx. Never expected that.
No, no, I was a big fan of Harpo Marx.
Really?
I just loved him to death, and he
Huh.
was a very very musical person. He could play,
The harp, yeah.
his harp was absolutely brilliantly,
That's true.
and it turned out that Nigel Kennedy was a big fan of Harpo Marx, and he actually did a piece where he performed with Harpo Marx, an old film of
Hmm.
him playing with the film violin part on top of the harp part,
Really?
on top of the harp part. Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm thinking with that image in my mind, yes, I would like to have played with Harpo Marx.
Incredible. Have you ever played the harp? Is that a hard
No,
instrument to play?
apparently it's the most difficult instrument to play,
Yeah.
I've been told.
Yeah.
Um, because you can't see what you're playing because it's all perspective.
Right.
Because you're looking along the strings, you're not looking at them. So it's all done by feel,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
quite extraordinary.
Well, that's a first. Harpo Marx is a first.
I'll come back to you. I'll come up with something more serious than that.
Well, that's a good one. That's a good one. It's funny. Petula Clark. I talked to Petula Clark. She said Pink Floyd. She wanted to play with Pink Floyd. That was
Oh
surprising to
wow!
me too.
All right.
Because yeah,
Well, that's amazing, isn't it?
yeah.
I mean, they're a
Because
phenomenal band. Okay, I'll say Pink Floyd then.
Okay, David Gilmour.
David Gilmour, yeah, I'd like to play with David Gilmour. Yeah,
Yeah, they
that'd be nice.
didn't. I don't remember any song that they had a violin player, right? On any tracks.
No, don't think so. No,
They could have used one.
they could
That
have
would have been
used one,
cool. Yeah.
but they used a female voice like a violin, though, didn't they? They used
Yeah.
no the
True.
soaring female voice, which kind of stood in for that
Yep.
type of part,
That's right.
and actually works absolutely beautiful.
Have you tried to play the Game of Thrones theme?
I have actually.
Have
I've
you?
played it. I played it at a concert.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
did a
great song.
yeah, that was a. I had a band called Verisma, which was a classical crossover band with a tenor called Stephen Crook,
Hmm.
and we would do, we do classical crossover opera,
Right.
and and the other times I would play. I would do a couple of instrumentals, and one of the instrumentals I did was Game of Thrones. This was such a great piece of music.
I love that piece.
Yeah,
And it's such a good
it
show. Oh,
was. Yeah,
yeah.
fantastic show.
Yeah.
Have you following the new one? Are you watching the new one?
Not yet. Do you like it?
No, I haven't watched it. No,
I haven't either. No.
no.
It's going to be hard though, after Game of Thrones. I don't know. I don't I saw some of
It's
the
take a lot of
characters in it.
following.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to have that same, you know, drive like the first
Yeah.
movie.
Were you a Breaking Bad fan?
Breaking Bad, I like Breaking Bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, we've been watching Better Call Saul, which is a spin-off of that,
Right,
and
right.
that wasn't quite as good as Breaking Bad, but it was better than watching nothing, that's for sure.
Yeah. There's been some good shows on Netflix and Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
So
you got to you got to get your music into a movie for sure.
yeah,
You
please,
know,
please. I'm
I'm
gonna need.
gonna
I'm
send.
gonna,
I guess I'll send Billy James that email of Stage 32,
yeah, that'd be brilliant.
so
Yeah.
you can look at it, and maybe you can pitch. You and the author can both pitch that movie for a movie
Oh,
deal or something,
that'd be a very good idea.
and decide who's going to write the screenplay.
Yeah, it won't be me.
That's going to take some time.
Yeah.
Darryl, did we cover everything? Was there anything else that we missed?
I don't think so. We've been pretty. Yes.
Pretty
No,
thorough.
we haven't. Yeah, pretty thorough. Very good.
Good. Well, I want to say special thanks to Billy James of Glass Onion PR for arranging this interview with Darryl. I've known Billy for a long time now. He's a great guy. You can purchase The Rock Artist Progress by Darryl Way. The single is available now. It's out there. The album will be out. What's the date again? Let's see.
23rd of September.
23rd of September, right. It'll be on Spirit of Unicorn Music, Cherry Red Records, iTunes, Amazon. It'll be everywhere.
Yeah, touch
And I
wood.
also want to mention Destinations 2, which is a great album. I'm going to give both of them 5 stars. I love both of them. And
I
that's
love you.
available on Amazon. That's why you're on Interviewing the Legends.
Oh, thank you very much. So sweet.
And you can visit more Darryl Way at www.darrylway.com. It's your official site. And also Charles Shorwell. Let's give him a plug at www.charlesshorwell.co.uk.
Brilliant.
Darryl, thank you so much, man, for being on the show today. It's good to see you again.
It's good to see you, man.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
I
And thank you for the
love your
interview.
music, man. You're doing
I
all
really
good things out
enjoyed
there.
that.
Me too.
Thank you
Me
very
too.
much indeed.
All
I
right.
enjoyed
Well,
the talk. I enjoyed our little chat.
hope to see
Take care.
you. Hope to see you live soon
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
somewhere. Yeah. Got to work on that next.
Okay.
Thanks, Darryl.
Peace and love.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.